Okay, morning everybody. It's quite a crowd, eh? I saw the backlog at the entrance and I was like, sure. They weren't lying when they said there was 400 people that registered by Monday. So welcome everyone. It's good to be here. Thanks for braving the cold and coming out. So I'm Rashveer Manilal. I'm the head of renewable energy at ABSA Relationship Banking. What that basically means is our division is the division in the bank that finances renewable energy installations for business clients. So as ABSA, we finance residential and commercial installations. Residential is done, and residential obviously for your homes, are done through our home loans division of the bank and through our personal loans division of the bank. Within my division, we focus mainly on commercial installations. We basically finance commercial installations, commercial solar installations for businesses. And that spans, all the way from your smallest SME business up to what we call CIB clients, so corporate banking clients like retailers and office parks and things like that. So I'll take you through a little bit of insights on the energy industry in South Africa right now. I'm not going to spend too much time on the insights portion because I think we all know we haven't had load shedding, so there's not much other insights to share. But there's a couple of other interesting stats I think that everyone will find hopefully interesting. And then I'll take you through what our value proposition is in ABSA. How do we actually go about financing these renewable energy installations? And then I've got a couple of client testimonials and hopefully if there's time, a short video at the end, okay? So going through it, I think everybody knows, I think it's 106 days now of no load shedding, which is great, right? It's not so great for us in the renewable energy sector because we always thought that load shedding was a push factor towards renewable energy, when it actually isn't, right? What we've seen in our book is most of the clients and business clients now that have come to us for solar installations, load shedding was actually a secondary factor, right? It wasn't the primary driving force. The primary driving force was actually the commerciality of, their OPEX that was becoming sort of out of hand with the price of electricity, the price of diesel actually, of running diesel generators and those types of things. So what you'll see here is the energy availability factor as well. Sorry, just quickly, if you indulge me, you'll see 2023, we've had 334 days of load shedding. In 2024 so far, we've only had 83 days. So pretty much the whole of 2023, as we all know, we've had load shedding. And you'll see on the next slide as well, one of the main or key stats that we track is something called energy availability factor. And last year, if I remember correctly, that was at times dipping below 50%, right? Which means that you only have energy available for 50% of the time, right? Right now, we're looking at, it's sitting at around 62.2, which is not great. It should be around 70. So it's a lot better than what it was last year and kind of trending upwards in recent times. And this is the detail behind energy availability factor. So I don't know if you can see the colors from where you're sitting, but basically the bottom red bar is the energy availability factor, and that's simply the difference between one minus all your outages, right? So the bar above it is your planned outages that you have, which is maintenance essentially. And then your unplanned outages, which is the orange bar. At the top, you've got other outages, but that's like a very tiny portion, so I'm going to ignore that for now. What you'll see is that the planned outages, i.e. maintenance, has kind of stayed static, right, over the last 25 weeks. But your unplanned outages has actually decreased quite a bit, that's your main reason for the lack of load shedding that we're seeing now. Whether that's going to continue or not, I don't have a crystal ball, but we'll see, I guess. And then I think I want to stand still on this slide a little bit, right? I said earlier, many of our business clients that are approaching us because their OPEX is going out of hand, right? The cost of electricity is becoming a problem, not so much the availability of electricity. And we track the energy ESCOM tariffs over the last, since 2009, so more than 10 years, right? 15 years, actually. And what you'll see is that we've had an annual average increase of 14% per year of ESCOM tariffs, right? I don't know about the businesses that you guys run, but the business that I run can't afford that, right? I mean, you can't pass on increases of your products and services to your clients of 14% every single year. You lose all your clients, right? So what that means essentially is that it squeezes your bottom line, right? So the OPEX is just going out of hand. At the last bar there, we've got a number of 18%. Again, I don't know if you can see it. Apologies if you can't. That's not an actual increase. That's what we think it might be next year. So if you read in the media, ESCOM's put an application forward to NERSA for 2025, 2026 to increase tariffs by 44%. We know historically they don't, NERSA doesn't approve what they ask for, but it's going to be double digits, right? And we think it's going to be in the region of 15 to 18%, somewhere there. And then diesel costs, right? Why we track diesel costs? Obviously, for generator usage. So we know getting electricity from the grid costs anywhere between 2 to 3, sometimes 4 rand per kilowatt hour. When you don't have electricity, when there's load shedding, or when you need to fill the gap, and you're using a diesel generator, that can cost anything between 8 and 12 rand per kilowatt hour to generate electricity, right? That's excluding the fact that you will have to do maintenance and breakdown maintenance to your generators if you have extended periods of load shedding, like we saw last year when there was stage 6 load shedding. We had clients spending millions and millions of rands on diesel. So that obviously squeezes, again, the bottom line. When we do our business cases for renewable energy installations, we take into account what the client spends on their ESCOM bill. We don't take into account what they spend on diesel. So what that means is that we're actually being very conservative on what your payback period would be, because when you install solar, your diesel costs are definitely going to decrease, right? We just don't know exactly by how much it's going to decrease. It's easier to predict what your ESCOM bill is going to decrease by than what your diesel consumption is going to decrease by. So then, enough of the detail. Why renewable energy, right? I think I've covered it, but there's 3 main reasons, right? I think a year ago, if I was standing here and doing this presentation, energy security might have been at the top of the triangle. But actually, commerciality is becoming the big thing now, right? I spoke about it before, but a lot of clients are seeing that the increases that ESCOM's putting forward every year over the last couple of years just becoming unsurmountable for their businesses, and they need to get a cheaper source of electricity, but also a more reliable source of energy, which is the energy security question, right? At your bottom right there. And then I think that the other thing, which not a lot of businesses consider, but I think more on the bigger businesses, sustainability is becoming a big thing, right? Companies and the boards of companies are asking companies to start becoming more responsible in terms of how they generate electricity, how they produce their products and services. And so we're seeing that coming through quite a bit now from our clients, where they want to get cleaner forms of energy and start being less reliant on coal and actually start contributing to the just energy transition. So that's the 3, we call it the energy trifecta, the 3 main reasons to start looking at renewable energy. And then, what is our CVP? So this guy from ABSA standing here on a very cold morning, taking our time, what is he trying to sell? So I think we're not just in the game to do loans, right, or to finance solar installations. We offer a lot more than that in the renewable energy sector. And I think the first aspect is our dedicated sector expertise. So we've got a dedicated team of renewable energy analysts and specialists who don't only do the financing, but they understand everything from your inverters and your batteries, solar panels, They understand what your consumption is in your business, and it's not just about going on solar. It's also about making your business more energy efficient. And when we started this journey, I think for the first few years, we spent a lot of time with clients trying to understand, what's the reason that they have high energy consumption. And maybe if I can draw a parallel to our household, right? About 8 years ago, I changed all my lights in my house to LED lights. And it was, I think about 10 years ago, that was like a big thing to change everything into LED. But it makes a massive difference, right? Putting a timer on your geyser. Now, if you draw that parallel to a business, when they're using certain types of equipment at certain times of the day, you can be more efficient by using it depending on the tariff you're on. Most businesses are on time of use tariffs. You can use certain types of machinery at night, for example, to save costs. So it's those types of insights that we bring to our business clients. We go and look at the bespoke business that we're dealing with and try and come up with a solution that's not just about solar, but also about becoming energy efficient. I think another key point to mention is we are pioneers in renewable energy finance as ABSA. We started renewable energy finance in South Africa about 10 years ago. And to date, we've done over 1,500 commercial installations that we've financed and advised. So I think, partnering with us to do your renewable energy installation is definitely a good choice. I think we've been there, done that, got the T-shirt. I think I've covered this slide. I just want to then go into our sector solution. So I spoke about the soft stuff, the advice we can give you and the people that we have that can partner with you and give you bespoke solutions for your specific business. But then, what is those solutions? So firstly, I think it's access to finance, right? So I think, if you want to do a renewable energy installation at your business premises, there's a couple of options that's available. And apologies, the writing in the block there must be minute from where you're sitting. But there's 3 types of solar installations in general that you'd look at, or backup solutions and solar solutions that you'd be looking at financing at your business premises. The first and the most basic, I think, is a backup energy solution, which is generally just batteries and an inverter. What that means is you will still get power from the grid, so you'll still be connected to the grid, but you will charge off the grid and then dispatch that, when there's load shedding or when you don't have electricity for whatever reason. The second is what we call a grid-tied system, and we've seen this quite a bit, I think, pre-2022, where it's just solar panels and an inverter. What that means is you then still connected to the grid, and you will operate from the grid when the grid's available, but you have solar to charge or to power your facilities during sunlight hours, right? You don't have a battery backup system in that scenario because you would then, at night you would need the grid, or on a cloudy day you would need the grid. And then the most popular that we've seen, I think, in the last 2 years has been the hybrid systems, which then has your batteries, solar panels, and inverters, right? And I think with the precedence of load shedding that we've seen in the last 2 years, batteries has become a huge demand from our clients because they obviously need to be independent of the grid when there's no sunlight, right? And I think, just a side note, batteries are the most expensive part of a solar installation. And I think that's also driven the demand for financing of solar installations, that, it's a lot less affordable to do it cash for a business. And then, another sector solution we've got is the attractive pricing benefits, and I'll stand still a little bit on that. So you'll see in a couple of slides, I've got a page on the Bounce Back Energy Scheme. So ABSA is participating on the Bounce Back Energy Scheme. I'll talk about it just now, but it's basically a scheme from the National Treasury where we get funds from National Treasury at a preferred rate, and we can on-lend those funds to our end business clients for solar solutions, right? Again, more to come on that just now. I think another key aspect to remember on pricing is that there is the tax Section 12B incentive, which is in place only until Feb next year. So if you want to do a solar installation for your business premises, it's highly advisable to do it before Feb next year. There was the 12B incentive for residential installations, but that's now come to an end in Feb 2024. I think the next two aspects is quite important, right? Solar equipment assessments and then access to our installer network. When you buy a car, you want to make sure that you kick the tires, right? You want to make sure that that thing's not going to break down 10 kilometers down the road after you drive it off the dealership floor, right? It's the same thing with solar assets. You need to understand the batteries that you're buying. They're quite expensive. You need to understand the inverters, what's the warranty period, the degradation on the battery, the number of cycles you've got, and then also the solar panels, right? Fortunately, in South Africa, we have largely tier 1 solar panels, so I think that's not that much of an issue. But what we do is, in the previous slide, I spoke about the sector, the thought leadership that we have within ABSA. What we do is, with every single business installation that we finance, we go and we scrutinize the equipment that we're financing, because ultimately that's the asset that we're financing, right? And that gives our clients a lot of peace of mind, because not every layman out there is a renewable energy expert that understands what batteries, what's the best batteries to put in, what's the best inverters to put in, and the technicals behind it. It is quite a technical field, right? So I think by financing with us, you get access to those experts at no additional cost, actually, because we want to go out and actually scrutinize the equipment that we're financing. I think the other one on solar installers, I don't know if anyone's done a solar installation recently at your residence or at your business premises, but everybody that was in CCTV and everybody that was an electrician 5 years ago is now going into the solar business, right, and wants to become a solar installer. It's like the gold rush right now, right? So that's, and that's a big risk factor for us, because there's a lot of credentials that you need to have behind you when you do a solar installation. It's quite an important and quite a technical thing to do, right? We've got our own base of vetted installers that we vet and we trust. But I think the difference with us as a bank is we don't say to our business clients that you must use our solar installers. If a client comes to us and wants to use their own solar installer, we go and vet that installer for them, right? And by vetting, I mean go and check that they're registered with the Department of Labor, they're VAT registered, they've got qualified electricians that work for them. For the bigger installations, you need a master electrician, you need a PR engineer, all of those things, right? So there's a huge list that we have, and we ask the installer for those things. So we do that vetting, and again, that gives our clients peace of mind that the installer that's doing the installation is worth their salt, right? That their batteries are not going to blow up the next day at their business. I think we have quite a few clients that also come to us and say, please, can you recommend an installer that you've done work with previously that you trust? And then we give them access to that list of installers that they can choose from. And then I think lastly on this slide, if you're an independent, renewable energy independent power producer, an IPP that's developing solar farms and wants to finance that where you have off-takers in place, we also finance power purchase agreements for IPPs. So if you're in that field and you're interested, come and talk to us. I think on the next slide is just, what is actually then our product offerings? How do we finance these solar solutions? So we have two core products that we finance solar installations on. The first is a commercial asset finance. So it's the same banking product that you would finance your business truck or your shredder for your business, or things like that. And the nice thing about that then is that you would get the VAT back from SARS, right? There's also a term loan which we see some clients preferring to use. We finance this up to 10 years, right? So your solar installation for your business can be done up to 10 years, and we finance up to 100% of the installation. Obviously, those two things are very risk dependent. So if if you've got a high risk rating, then obviously the bank will pull back a bit and probably ask for a lower term or a higher deposit from you. But that's the maximum. We can go up to 10 years and we can go up to 100% loan to cost. And then also payouts are done in tranches. So it's very similar to a building loan, if anyone's ever done a building loan, where obviously a solar installation, especially for businesses, takes months to install sometimes. We'll pay out in tranches, meaning that when there's completion milestones that your installer reaches, that's when we'll pay out certain tranches. And that we find is a nice security for our clients, that if the installation's not done up to scratch, or you haven't reached a point where you've got a COC issued, then we don't pay out fully to the installer. And then there's obviously incentive for the installer to do their jobs properly and install what they've promised. Then we have additional finance and insurance solutions. So this is broader than specifically for solar, but just as an FYI, obviously transactional accounts for your business, lending solutions. I spoke about term loans and CAF, but we've got commercial property finance as well. Overdrafts, which for working capital solutions that you might need for your business. And I think an important one is long and short-term insurance. So just also on solar installations, whether you do it cash or whether you finance it through a bank, it's always a good idea to add it onto your building's insurance. If you're financing it, the bank will insist that you add it on. All banks will insist that you add it onto your building's insurance. And doing that is quite simple. You call your insurer, give them the COC, and give them the invoice, and they'll add it on for you. And generally, it's not a huge increase on your premium that you pay for your insurance. If you don't have insurance, we also offer that. So reach out to us. And then for those that are doing any international transactions, we have trade loans. We've got foreign exchange solutions as well. And then obviously ESD, right? So enterprise supplier development, so access to non-financial support like guidance, through not just your solar installation, but your business in general, and then access to funding as well. So if you're interested in any of this, apologies again, it's minute on the screen, but you can contact me. I'll hand out my cards afterwards, but we've got a generic email box, renewableenergy@absa.africa. It's quite easy. renewableenergy@absa.africa. And then there's a link to our website, but I'll show you some videos just now. I said I'm going to speak a little bit about the Bounce Back Energy Scheme, and I want to spend a minute or two on it because I think it's quite an important thing that what I've found is not many people in the market actually know about. So sort of middle of last year, the National Treasury approached the major commercial banks in the country, and they said, we've got funding from French investors, I think it was French, that they want to spark growth in the renewable energy, and particularly in solar in South Africa. So National Treasury, through an agreement that we got with them, is lending us, 4 commercial banks in South Africa actually, funds at preferential rates, and we can give those preferential rates over to our clients, provided that they're using the loan for solar installation. So earlier I spoke about battery backup installations. For this loan, you need to have solar panels, so you need to be generating electricity, right? And how does it work? So I think the main attraction point of this type of a loan is that the interest rate is capped to prime plus 2.5. So we've seen clients, get prime plus 4, prime plus 5, depending on their risk rate, obviously. But if you qualify for this, which most SME and or clients below turnover below 300 million rand would qualify for, you can get quite an attractive interest rate, and the max is prime plus 2.5. We've seen most of our clients actually get a little bit less than that, actually. The repayment term is capped to 5 years, so that was a rule that National Treasury wanted us to implement, that we can't go longer than 5 years on these loans. The qualifying criteria is that, so it's for businesses and individuals. So if you want to do it at your residential property, we can also do that at the interest rate. If you're a business, your maximum turnover needs to be 300 million rand. So it's not for the big guys. It's not for your corporates and for retailers and things like that. They want to spark growth in the right segments in the market, which is the SMME markets. And again, I said, your installation needs to include solar panels, and it needs to be a maximum of 10 million rand loan. So it can't be, again, they're not targeting the big installations in this. They want to spark growth in the SMME sector. That's the spirit of the loan. I think I spoke about the interest rate, 5 years, and then we do it on commercial asset finance chassis, which then again is another attraction because you can claim the 15% VAT back. If the bank asks you for, let's say, a 20% deposit, we can structure that loan where you can put the 15% back as a deposit and then just pay 5%, pay the difference of 5% as a deposit. So it's actually quite an attractive offer, right? So you're getting a good interest rate, you're getting the SARS 12B tax benefit, you're getting VAT back. There's no reason why you shouldn't be having solar at your business premises, right? Maybe before I go into a client testimonial, just an interesting fact. We've seen that with most of our client installations that we're doing at business premises, and this is now more, let me talk about hybrid installations, right, where there's solar panels, batteries, and inverters, sort of the full Monty. The payback period of those types of loans tends to be between 4 and 7 years, depending on the size of batteries, right? And that's quite attractive, right? Because it means after year 7, you're actually generating free electricity. The other interesting point is that if you finance the installation, the way we structure these loans is that most of the time, I'd say probably 95% of the time, our clients are actually cash flow neutral or cash flow positive. So what that means is that if you're spending, let's say, 10,000 Rand a month on your Eskom bill, we know that by the size of solar installation that you're planning to do, it's likely to reduce your Eskom bill from 10,000 Rand to 4,000 Rand a month. We then structure the loan that your repayment is not more than the 6,000 Rand difference. So your cash flow from your business is actually not impacted by doing this loan, right? So it's quite an attractive offer. So I think I mentioned the stat earlier that we've done more than 1,500 commercial installations nationally since we've started on this journey. It's from the smallest SME. I mean, we've done 80,000 Rand size installations up to, I think, 75 million, 100, into the hundreds of millions of rands, right? I just got pictures of one that I visited recently down in the Eastern Cape. This is a dairy farmer. He asked me not to disclose who he is because he doesn't want people knowing about the installation that he's done, but he says I can anonymously share pictures of his installation. It is it's quite a fabulous installation, right? I think he was the client himself was quite involved. Our bankers were quite involved, and we had really a great installer that was involved in this installation. It's a 0.8 megawatt installation for one farm, which is 800 kilowatt peak. Ground mount solar. I think he commissioned the installation in Feb this year. He's already seen a 60% reduction in his Eskom bill, right? He's also put in a generator, which is included in the solar installation, which we funded. So you'll see this is the completed. Actually, it's only a picture of the inverters, batteries, and generator in here. There's a huge ground mount solution that he's also got, right? And then I want to end off with a quick video. I think I've got time. They made me wait like an hour before I could start presenting, so I think they can bear with me for another 3 minutes. I hope this plays. So this is Spiff Chickens in Limpopo that we financed. It's a client testimonial. I don't know about the sound, but let's see. Sorry, just give me a second. Okay, I think the sound's going to play off my laptop, but I hope everybody can hear it. Just go full screen. Is it not?
We
Oh,
believe
shit.
there's a
Sorry.
great future in this country, and we're excited about.
I wonder why. Oh, there we go. Thank you. There we go.
Agribusiness, we're excited about what's happening. We believe there's a great future in this country, and we're excited about agribusiness. We're excited about what's happening in South Africa, and we've seen with the right partners, there's definitely a future. My name's Kevin Travis. We're standing here at Spiff Chickens, located in Mokgopong, which used to be in Naboomspruit in the Limpopo province of South Africa. Spiff Chickens was started the early 1990s by three brothers, Peter, Isak and Fred, and they were together in the business. So in 1997, they wanted to get out of the poultry industry, and our family got involved with Spiff Chickens. So since 1997, this has been a family-owned and operated agribusiness. Sustainability is critically important. I think sustainability and responsibility go hand in hand. You've got to be responsible. You've got to build for the future. You've got to always have the future in mind. No business is an island. No business can operate in a bubble. And what we do in our business will impact on other businesses. For Spiff Chicken to be sustainable, we needed to have certainty. So what we did is we started looking at renewable options, and solar just made logical sense. We looked at our electricity consumption, and we were able to do the calculations. You look at how long solar plant will be standing here. We could also justify it as an expenditure for the long term. Also reliability. We need to make sure that we have a reliable supply of electricity going forward. And with solar, we know that we can have that reliable source. Going forward, definitely as we expand our operations, we'll expand on the solar side as well. When we embarked on the renewable energy process, we knew that we had to get reliable supplier to provide the services. So our approach was, we've been banking with ABSA for many, many years, and we knew they had a renewable energy division, and we found a supplier who's going to be able to walk with us not only today, but for the next 20 years, 30 years, and beyond. And that's very, very important. ABSA were extremely supportive right from the initial stages of our renewable energy project through to the actual construction and development stage, and just making sure that all the checks and balances were in place. It's extremely important to be sustainable in agriculture, to ensure that you've got the right partners. And ABSA is definitely more than just a bank. ABSA is a partner in our business.
Thank you. Okay, I don't know if I've got time for questions. Are there any questions or comments? Yes. Do you need the mic?
No, not really.
Okay.
Chabulani is my name from Khaibana Investments.
Sorry, from? Chabulani from?
Khaibana Investments.
Great.
Two issues.
Yes.
Can you delve a bit more into the term of use? Secondly, if I want to install, I work from home, and if I want to do an installation for business continuity purposes, maybe having a critical online session during load shedding, is it something that you can fund?
Yeah. So maybe your first question on time of use. What specifically about time of use?
No, you mentioned time of use. I know there's tariffs.
Yeah, so there's different tariffs depending on the time of day that you consume energy, right? So I'll give you an example. One of our clients in Atlantis, SEZ in the Western Cape, they do steel manufacturing. So he chooses to run his boiler, what do they call it? Boilers or furnaces or something, where they melt the metal, right? Because it's a high energy consumption equipment, they choose to run it at night. So they operate at night because the electricity is cheaper at night. So it's just depends on your municipality and where you're located. Your tariffs would be different based on the time of day that you're using the electricity. Does that help? Okay, cool. And then in terms of your installation, so in order to do a commercial asset finance installation for your premises obviously needs to be zoned for commercial use, right? If it's zoned for residential use, you'll need to do a residential installation. We can do it. It's just going to be done with on a different chassis in the bank, a different product, basically. So I think get my details. I'll get your details, and then we can connect afterwards. Okay. Yes. Yeah, sure.
Thank you, sir. Good morning. My name is David from Ilanga Solar Tech. I've got one or two questions. I'll be very brief. The first question, do you happen to have a sponsorship as ABSA, sponsorship towards the installers? I saw that you've got an installer network. Do you have a board maybe also of installers where you could also take them to trainings, then you sponsor them, even though you don't sponsor the individuals and the businesses, but at least the installers, can they be helped? Secondly, you also, on your chart there, I saw that you put the business as the qualification criteria. You put them in the same bracket as individuals with a minimum of 250. Is that compulsory? It's a minimum of 250 to 10 million. So now I'm looking at it's not going to be too steep for individuals to be put together as equally as the businesses.
No. So that's for businesses only. Sorry, it might have been a mistake there. So a business solar installation needs to be a minimum size of 250,000.
That sounds better, because we do have clients that needs a minimum installation for 100,000, 50,000.
That's for residential. It's a different.
Thank you so much. I wanted that clear. Thank you, sir.
Your first question on installers, let me just speak in the mic so everyone can hear. So yes, we do have programs in place. So we are sponsors of the Sapphire Green Card program. So if you want to get on, that's obviously a development program for new installers. So if you want to get onto that program, we can chat about that. And then the list of installers that we have, I can take your details afterwards. We probably vet about 5 installers every day, 5 new installers every day that go onto our list. We're quite prudent with that list, obviously, right? We've got to make sure that the installers that we put onto that list are worth their salt. They know what they're doing. So when it comes to recommending to our clients which installers they should use, if you haven't done an installation with us previously that we have financed and we can see your track record, then we wouldn't recommend that installer to a client, obviously, right? I mean, you don't want to you wouldn't recommend somebody to your client that you've never done business with previously, right? So you get onto our list, and then once we start doing business together, then we start recommending you. So I think long story short is that it is a bit of a process, but let me get your details, and then we can try and get you vetted as well. Okay. Yes, Poppy. Oh, I thought you had a question, Poppy. Okay.
Maybe if you can just elaborate a bit on the tax benefits, section 12.
Yeah, I'm not a tax expert. I'm I don't know what expert I am, but hopefully in something. So my understanding is that you can claim up to 125% of the solar installation cost as a tax against your tax liability. So I'm not going to give an example because I'll mess it up. But I think consult with your in-house finance managers or your tax consultants on how that works. It's quite an attractive offer. And again, I hope I don't mess this part up, but if you don't have a tax liability, let's say you ran a loss in the financial year that you did the solar installation in, right? My understanding is that SARS allows you to carry that tax benefit on to the next financial year, right? So I think just query with your tax consultants on how you can make best use of that tax benefit. But we've seen many clients, in fact, most of our clients make very good use of that tax benefit. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks a lot. Morning, guys. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Shonisani from Turkish Trading. So I just wanted to ask. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Shonisani Nevumbane from Turkish Trading. Thank you for the opportunity again. I want to ask about if you have any women-owned business programs.
No, I'd have to come back to you on that. So it's the Sapphire PV Green Card training that I spoke about.
Okay.
Maybe Poppy, I don't know from an ESD perspective on women-owned business.
We do have the She Thrives value proposition for women in business.
Okay.
I think in the interest of time, you can come to the ABSA store just downstairs, and then we'll give you more information on that.
Yeah, so it's not specific for, are you a solar installer? Are you asking for solar installations? Or?
Yes. Yeah, and also for construction.
Okay, yeah,
Yes.
so then I think that's the right program, because I was talking specifically about solar, but I think on the She Thrives for ESD,
Okay.
supply development, I think that's the one.
Okay.
All right.